So preseason finished up, and I just want to talk about the outcomes of preseason, how preseason looks, and what we can take away from preseason. I know that we're gonna have a few days without NBA. You know, the NBA season starts the 24th, so that means that I'm probably gonna get enough time to make a video about this preseason game, well, not this preseason game, but wrapping up the preseason, talking about a few games which I missed and wanted to talk about. But also, I think I will be either making a video just highlighting good preseason games, or I will just come here and just talk about everything, like before the season, what to expect in the first games. I don't know. It's gonna be a lot, and especially that video after the first day, that video that I'm gonna post the 25th is gonna be really loaded. So for right now, we'll just figure it out, right? I wanted to talk about a few of these preseason games which I missed. A few preseason games which caught my eye, which I really wanted to talk about, which I didn't get the chance to, because of course you see so many games and there's games which take over the others. First, I just want to say shout out to the Timberwolves and the Raptors. They were the only two teams which were undefeated in preseason, and which surprises me, but it also doesn't at the same time. There are two teams which are rebuilding and which have a lot of young guys, so they both get to actually play their stars, and they want to win preseason games, because the Lakers, they lost a lot in the preseason, but LeBron was getting played 15 minutes to 20 minutes per game, right? And when he would get played, he even took some rest inside of the preseason because he only wanted to play in the big games. So that just shows you, really the intensity of it, right? But when we look at some of these games and we look at what they mean, I really want to talk about and highlight some of them. So I'm going to go quick fire to mention four of the games which I missed, right? And really be able to, well, three of the games which I missed, and really be able to expand on them. So first, I want to talk about, this Thunder versus Pistons game. It ended very closely, right? And we could see that this video, this game was something to, marvel at. I like this game because we saw a lot of guys stepping up. And in my opinion, when we see two teams like this, which are just young and have legs and want to go out and play, it's easy for us to be able to always get a good game from these guys, because their benches are interesting, or are more interesting. Like, the only guy who's a real superstar who can't play in the final minute, if we're being honest, is SGA, but I don't think he played during the entirety of the preseason, and if he did, then he played very little because I didn't even notice him, right? And in my opinion, I like this game because the ending was really fun, and when we see that both of these teams going at it, we could see that there are two teams which it ended, by the way, by the Pistons winning by 2 points. And it was a really cool ending. And what I really wanted to point out, which made me talk about this game right now, is Amen Thompson. I've really liked the Thompson twins during this entire thing, but I did make a video on Houston, so I did talk about his brother, right? Also, no, wait, I'm talking about All-Star, the one who's in Detroit. I'm sorry, I get the names confused all the time. All-Star Thompson. So I already talked about Amen, right? But All-Star in this game had 18 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, a block. Meanwhile, only having 1 turnover, shooting 2 of 3 from three-point line, and 5 of 8 from the field. This, if you contrast it to the superstar of the team, Cade Cunningham, Cade shot really well and played really greatly, but All-Star was more efficient than him and was better on defense. Now, I don't mean to compare it, but is this really now the big three? Is it Jalen Duren, Cade Cunningham, All-Star Thompson? And I really like that. I already talked enough about, the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm just going to say shout out Jalen Williams. He played great. He had 20 points on good efficiency. On to the next game. The next game I wanted to talk about was this Knicks versus Boston game that we got in the preseason. I'm not here to talk about the Knicks. I already had a video in which I spoke about them. I'm here to talk about the Celtics starting five. And really, when we look at the Celtics starting five, they look really scary because we have to realize that they have five players which all can make a team of their own. And what I mean by that is that, like, Jason Tatum, All NBA, All Star team, Kristaps Porzingis, All Star team, All NBA team maybe, but now it's positionless, so I doubt that he makes it. Drew Holiday, All Defensive Team, All Star. Derek White, All Defensive Team, and Jaylen Brown, All NBA, All Star, maybe All Defensive Team. So when we look at all of them, they're all part of like an NBA ranking system at the end of the season. And I don't think we've ever seen that before, right? And even if we have, it's probably an example, from a team like the Showtime Lakers or a team, like the KD Warriors, right? But even them, their center core at that point weren't all-stars, especially weren't all-stars consistently. So when we look at this team right now, right, we look at them and we go, oh my God. And by the way, I'm not saying that they all made it last season. I'm saying that they all can make it. So when we look at the Celtics, in my opinion, their starting five looks phenomenal. Drew Holiday was plugged right in. And I want to read some of the stats. Drew Holiday had 10 points extremely efficiently, 4 assists and 7 rebounds with 2 steals, and was a plus for. Kristaps Porzingis had 20 points, 4 threes, 50% from 3, over 50% from the field, with 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, and a steal. Like, Kristaps was playing out of his mind. And Jason Tatum had 28 points with 4 assists, 8 rebounds, shooting incredibly efficiently, and 3 steals and 1 block. And Jaylen Brown had a silent 17 points on pretty below average efficiency. So really what I wanted to talk about with this team was just how diverse their stars are, how good they've been. And honestly, when we really look at this team, we can really see, like, this team could win it all multiple times if they keep going like they are now. Because with that team, with that amount of stars, it's crazy. And I believe that Boston looks very scary, especially with Al Horford off the bench. And finally, I wanted to talk about this Hawks-Sixers game. The reason why is just because I wanted to point out how great, Trae Young, he got 19 points. He was extremely inefficient. Still got 19 and 10. And I really like Trae Young. And I think this season he's actually about to be amazing. But I do think he doesn't get the respect that he deserves. And I also just wanted to talk about Embiid and how the Sixers look without James Harden. Without James Harden, they've been looking actually pretty good. They won against the Hawks, and the Hawks are historically, not a bad team right now. But really, I wanted to point out D'Anthony Melton stepping up, hitting 6 threes, almost dropping 30 with 29 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block with 2 turnovers. I wanted to talk about Tyrese Maxey just taking all of the playmaking duties, which is really what mostly impressed me, which was him dropping 15 points but 12 assists and facilitating that team, really basically doing what James Harden was doing, right, and filling up for him instead of getting his points across. I want to talk about, and Joel Embiid, obviously, which even though he shot terribly from the field, terribly from 3, he got 14 free throws and dropped 21 points, right, with a steal, 2 blocks, 1 assist, and 5 rebounds. For the Hawks, I still do see that this duo is suffering, and in my opinion, it all comes from efficiency. But I also want to say that for this season, I feel like they have a season where they have no expectations and they just get to be whatever they are. They traded a bunch of John Collins. Their guys, are very good, but they've really not proven anything. So this season, really, they just get to chill, and get to be themselves, as their team is mostly filled with Trae Young, DeAndre, DeJounte Murray, and a bunch of young players. Well, this has been some of the preseason games. I'm sorry I didn't get to talk about teams like the Mavericks and stuff like that. I did really like them, but they lost a lot. And it was hard to talk about a team which found themselves so down. They won 1 game. And, and even though some of these teams did lose a lot. You know, I believe that they were important. But yeah, you know, that's been it. And shout out to the preseason. It was very fun. This was probably the longest preseason we've had because this season is going to be amazing, in my opinion, or at least it's looking to be. So, yeah, I'll see you next video and tell me what you thought about this preseason.